One of my favorite child storybook writers is, of course, Dr. Seuss. Beside from the fact that I love to rhyme, um, he was so brilliant in his simplicity. And Einstein said that if you really know something, you can explain it to your grandmother. If your grandmother can understand what you're talking about, then you know what you're talking about. Otherwise, forget it. You're not really smart. Well, I was in this room and I realized that there was this awesome poster, and it says something really prolific. It's think left and think right, and think low and think high. Oh, the things you can think only if you try. My biggest breakthrough was realizing that I could think differently. It's still something that we have to train everyone to be on the same page so that we can stop the cycle of pain and suffering for everybody. So, I talk a lot about my Siamese soul twin. There are certain experiences that he experiences where he gets super hot, nervous, and I so happen to do that. I might be here, standing right here, and what's going on with him, I'll feel some of those same physical sensations. And it's kind of like we're just sharing the same energy because we're kind of synced already. So that's kind of one of the profound instances of energy sharing, coming to a higher level of awareness. Awareness does boil down to who you care about the most. We go through different stages in time where we feel a concern about somebody that we know or we care about. A lot of times we say we're worried. I'm worried about Cassandra because for some reason I have this feeling that something's going on in her life. Now that feeling is actually you being in tune to your friend or cousin or relative's emotions, their actual state of mind, maybe share with you. Now, how do we explain when we can feel what Cassandra thinks? Let's use Cassandra because, one, I like that name and it seems like everybody should know Cassandra. How do we explain how we know what Cassandra thinks and feels when we're in Oregon and she's here in Kansas City? How do we explain that? Is it because we're in tune and we can somehow catch on to her feelings? How is that possible? How are we possibly realizing what's happening with someone that is so far away from us? The explanation is that she's actually sending us a signal. She can call us from her brain to brain calling. Brain to brain. We're going to talk a little bit about thinking being calling. Thinking is calling. When you start to think about someone, you open up a pathway of communication because we can send a thermally radiated electromagnetic signal from one person to another. So thinking is calling. There are certain ways that you can measure receiving a signal, receiving a TRS, so that you can practice on becoming better at recognizing TRS, finding out who it is sending you a TRS, and even responding to the person that's sending you one. Yeah, so it's really simple. With TRS exchange, you already have the capacity to recognize that you're receiving a signal, and you also have the capacity to send a signal. What we're doing is working on our advanced nonverbal communication skills so that we can do it better, more effectively, to benefit our lives. Okay, so my favorite one is the infamous Facebook. Yes, I did do a little study with Facebook. Also Twitter and my websites that I've had. YouTube, who's looking? So you post a picture and you limit your sample. And what I mean by limit your sample is you pick five. Five's a good number. I wouldn't do too many more than that at first. About 5 people to share it. Say a question like my pick. Okay? So you got 5 people to choose from that you know are going to see this picture that you shared with, right? And then you've asked 5 different people to like that pic. Okay, so try to determine which person likes it when. To gauge it when you think that they may or may not be looking. Give yourself an insight that way. But the main thing is you're going to want to try to figure out when they like you. Because that's how you can measure knowing when someone thinks about you. So that's why awareness is so important. It's important for everyone to understand that being aware isn't about right and wrong so much as it is about right. It's just about a universal truth. What's good for one of us is good for all of us. So we have to really look at things that way.